Hey guys, today we're doing something different. As you already could see in the beginning of the video, we're shooting a car commercial and we're going to use the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 6K Pro to create something cool that looks like this. So a little context why I shot this video. I had to do some social media work for Mini and they gave me that car for a few days and I just got the Blackmagic Pocket 6K Pro and I thought why not shoot a little spec ad and just test the camera out and see how it performs. So after I've done the social media stuff, I got out the 6K Pro and started getting some shots and boy, this image quality looks really nice. So I will be shooting the majority of the car stuff on my Ronin S here and I'm gonna tell you, it was such a pain to balance it on that gimbal because the camera body is so wide and it's just like so awkward. I had to first slide in the plate and then mount the camera behind that little arm here and it took me so long. Finally got it going and yeah, I'm just really happy that I can shoot with it because at first I thought this is never gonna fit on there, but there's barely any room here to balance it. So yeah, really happy with that and let's go shooting outside. So I'm just getting a few handheld shots of the interior of the car. I tried to use the gimbal, but it's really narrow in there and it's way easier with handheld. So in the beginning, I thought I would shoot all of the stuff on my Ronin S, but it's so bulky and you can't get on the low angle with that camera really well. And it was so inconvenient. I just thought, just shoot handheld. It's way easier. You can't get into smaller places. Like shooting the interior, the Ronin was way too bulky. So I just shot most of the stuff handheld actually. There's only a few shots on the Ronin. And also the car driving shots. I thought it's a little bit more organic when there's a little shake. So I shot all of those handheld as well. And yeah, as you already might know, this camera doesn't have image stabilization. But in this case, even though I was shooting out of the car, it didn't bother me because the camera is pretty big. You don't get a lot of shake with it. Only the natural shake, which I really like in this video because it looks organic. So the image stabilization in this case is not a problem at all. So I also used my drone to get a little bit more dynamic into the shots and to get a different perspective. I have the Mavic Mini and I think it's the cheapest drone that DJI has. And it really held up well in those dark environments. There's not a lot of noise going on, but the drone really adds some more dynamic. You want to have dynamic shots in a car commercial and you can get only so much with like running with the gimbal and stuff. Drone really can travel easy and fast without a lot of help. So yeah, this is a good tool when you shoot car stuff because you can get really dynamic shots with it. And speaking of dynamic shots, the other dynamic shots was me sitting in the passenger seat of the car and leaning out. And then I also was sitting in the trunk at low speed. I won't recommend you do that. So yeah, we were just going really slow, so it wasn't dangerous at all. And there were actually some issues with the Blackmagic Pro that I wish I knew earlier. When I was leaning out of the car, the cable kind of got disconnected from my SSD drive and it stopped recording. And when you're like out in action and you don't really pay attention sometimes to if it's recording or not, and I checked later and these clips weren't recording. There were some good shots with it, so we had to do it again. And then it actually happened a few times where cable got disconnected when I was leaning out, maybe of the wind or something, I don't know. But I would recommend, if you're shooting like action stuff, I wouldn't recommend using an external SSD. Just use the internal media like a SD card or CFast cards. This is really the safest option. I was just being cheap and got the SSD drive, so I got these issues with the connection. But yeah, next time I will use an internal media for that. Also, what happened during these shots, I somehow hit a few times the auto exposure button, which is like placed in a weird spot where you can access it easily. And when you're just like shooting handheld and just rocking the camera out of the car, it was just like I hit it a few times and it was a perfect exposure because I like to keep it a little darker. And then I hit the button and all of a sudden the exposure jumped and that footage is unusable. It's just like I don't like the placement of that button. I really wish it was somewhere else, but yeah, this happened a few times. This was not a problem because I could redo the shot, but if you can't redo the shot, it doesn't look professional when all of a sudden the exposure jumps. So you really have to pay attention not to press that button. I also tried out some stuff that didn't quite work like I thought it would. It's because I wanted to shoot at sunset and there's not a lot of time left until the sun is gone completely and it's completely dark and you can't film anymore. Location scouting is really important. I don't plan out my shoots completely, but I like to know what locations I'm going to, because in the end it saves you time when you know how it looks like there and where the car looks good. So what I'm doing now is I'm just scouting the location during the day. The light is not ideal for this, so I want to shoot at sunset, but I think this location is really nice. And I'm just driving around and see what location is good during the daytime. So I have a little window when the sun sets that I can get all the shots I want, and I also want to make a list that I get everything I need in that kind of time where the light is good. And when you already know my shooting style, I really like to keep things moody and dark. That's why I decided to shoot at sunset. And the Blackmagic Pocket 6K Pro really kept up well in these dark environments. There was one scene where there's only light coming from the moon and the Blackmagic really held up well in that situation. So I'm just filming some handheld stuff here. Just found this nice spot here with the sunset going, and was just going handheld on the Blackmagic Pro and just finding some nice lines with the sunset in place to shoot at, and just filling the lights. Lights is a little tricky because you have to adjust the shutter angle a lot that you don't get the banding and the flicker. What you also might have seen in my previous videos, I like to keep things really cinematic and I like to reveal stuff with my pavo tubes, and this is exactly what I did in this video in the beginning. I was going over with the pavo tubes over the car, and it really made that start of the commercial look really nice. So now I'm just highlighting some parts of the car which I find really interesting, for example the logo, and I'm using my Nanlite Pavo Tube 30C. I'm just going over those bits, for example the logo, and just reveal it with the light. I had it set to daylight and just reveal it and then go back into darkness. And I'm just finding some stuff around the car, for example the John Cooper Works logo, or the light looks really interesting, so I'm going over it and just seeing, because it's really hard because the car is so reflective, just want to see where I don't see the light tube in the reflection, kind of, and just make sure that it looks good. I'm just slowly moving it over and just turn off the lights completely and just going around the car and looking for good spots. And I want to keep this commercial really dark, so this is really adding to the feeling when revealing the stuff, and it just makes it more interesting. Yeah, and just having my camera here on a tripod, and because this is 6K, I can just add some movement in post, and I'm so excited for those shots. It's gonna look so good. Sound design is really important in this video. I recorded some stuff during the day with my Zoom H4, but there's also a few sounds that I needed extra, and I went to Artlist to get all these sounds I need, and also the music is from Artlist. I use Artlist for all of my commercial projects, and I just subscribed to the sound effects library, and it's really good. I'm really loving it. There's so many sounds, and it really helped me make this video come together better. If you want to check it out, there's a link down in the description where you can get 2 months of free Artlist, and you can check it out for yourself. I really would recommend it. What's also really important when shooting a car commercial is recording good sound. I'm just using this H6 recorder from Zoom, and I'm just gonna record the sound that comes out of the exhaust here, and then I'm just gonna get some driving sounds where just driving where the car just drives over the concrete. So yeah, this is really important thing, especially because this car has such a good sound and it really makes the energy of the commercial come together really well. So that's it. Thanks so much for sticking around until the end of the video. I hope you learned something today. This was a real fun one for me because it was outside of my ordinary setup. I was not in the studio, it was outside filming a bigger project. I really enjoyed it. I hope you did too. And as always, a free and easy way to support the channel is hit that like button. And if you haven't subscribed, you might consider doing so. I would really appreciate it. If you have any questions, shoot me a message on Instagram at sebpicmedia, and I will see you in the next video.